Black Widow we're going to review. We'll just start with the non-spoiler and then we'll get into some spoilers.
I would say that it is definitely worth the wait to see another big production on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that I think you definitely have to see in theaters. Watching it on the small screen is not going to do it justice. There's a lot of action. It's very much like a kind of like a Bourne movie or like a James Bond movie almost, like a current James Bond movie.
Yeah.
But I will say that I was very impressed with the cast. David Harbour, I love him in anything that he's in.
He's great.
Rachel Weisz, it was good to see her back on the screen. Florence Pugh did an amazing job.
Yes.
And I really hope they utilize her more in the MCU coming up.
I agree.
It kind of looks like they do, or kind of looks like they will. But I don't know. I'd say overall, like 4 out of 5 stars, solid.
Yeah, I'm pretty much there too. There was some issues I had. I wish we would have got this sooner. It's kind of not necessarily messy. I don't know if it's the right word. It's hard to pinpoint when this takes place if you don't know going in.
Yeah.
I even forgot at times where we were. It's not a spoiler. It takes place between Civil War and Infinity War. So
yes,
that might help a lot of you out there if you haven't seen the film yet. But yeah, I agree with Bill. It's definitely worth seeing in the cinema. You could pay $30 to see it on Disney Plus. Not going to be quite the same experience, but I get things can be costly. I still have not paid to see one of the Disney Premier Accesses, so I don't know how long you get the film for, if it's 24 hours. That's the only thing it's good about when like I paid $20 to see, for instance, Bill and Ted Face the Music, because I wanted to see it, and I had time to see it many times before it expired. So I think that's worth it if you want to see it again. But yeah, out of convenience, it might be the best option for you. Who knows? But yeah, theater wise, definitely worth it.
I think it's important to go see movies like this in the theater, just if nothing else, to support your local cinema.
Absolutely.
There's been several businesses and type of businesses that have been hit the hardest with the pandemic, and I think theaters are one of the biggest ones that's on the, sort of been on the proverbial chopping block.
Yes.
So I would definitely say go support your local theater to see it.
Agreed.
But yeah, it was, especially with as action heavy as it is, like you can't beat seeing it in, Dolby surround sound and like feeling every punch and explosion and everything else. So
yeah, it's definitely worth returning to the cinema, which is what I did. I haven't been back since the pandemic started. Yeah. This was my first movie back, and I said this for months. Like, this was probably going to be my first movie back. I think you've been to the theater a few times, right, Bill? Before this?
Yeah, my first one back was, I think it was Wonder Woman was my first one.
Oh, 84. Back. Okay. Yep.
And then of course Mortal Kombat. I've been choosy about what I've seen in the theaters, but Mortal Kombat I saw in the theaters. And
I bet that was worth it.
Of course, yes, it was very worth it. And then seeing this in the theaters, of course, like there's nothing that beats that experience of just like, seeing everyone, like hearing everyone else's reactions to it kind of live, and, having that excitement of like, oh, when the, trailers show up, and then when you get to the opening, Marvel logo and everything like that, it's kind of like seeing Star Wars in the theater. Like you get goosebumps as soon as you hear the 20th Century Fox fanfare.
Yeah.
But I'd say there was a lot that made sense until it didn't, if that makes any sense. Like towards the end, it was kind of like, at the end, it was, okay, I get it, but I don't get how that tied into Infinity War. I mean, I understand it, but it's kind of like I was expecting at the end for like Steve Rogers to show up and be like, okay, we're going to go break everybody out of the raft. Come with me.
Right.
It was just like some random guy you've never heard of, like all of a sudden has a Quinjet. Like, okay, here you go.
We're going to get into spoilers here pretty soon. So yeah, I definitely want to talk more about that. Go see it. It's worth seeing. I think most people will like it. It's a good popcorn film. You're going to get your money's worth, let's say. It's not really an Oscar movie, but that's not saying it's terrible. It's not. It's just a fun movie. It's just a fun movie to go to go
It very
unwind.
very
You
much is, and I think it's the biggest importance I can stress with this about seeing it in the theater is that everyone deserves to like kind of get out and get back to sort of normal.
hmm
I don't think we're ever going to get back to normal like it was 2019, but I think everybody owes it to themselves to get out and not watch it on streaming. Disney's going to be fine if you don't spend the $30 on premiere access,
yeah, they'll be all
but
right.
I mean, you're still supporting Disney by watching it in the theaters, but your local theater, that's where you need to put your money for this.
Yes, yes.
Like, they deserve it more than anybody.
It was so weird. It was like my first movie again, going to the theater. Like I have not had that
It's
luxury.
exciting.
It
It's an
is.
exciting experience. I
It's an
mean,
event. Yeah, it is. It is. And I pretty much picked up where I left off. Like I got my popcorn, all that stuff. It wasn't. It wasn't
yeah,
like, oh my god, this is great. But it was great, but it felt weird at the same time. But going in there, like our IMAX we have, it was awesome. It was a great way to see the film, and yeah, it was
yeah,
actually a lot of people. It gives me a lot of hope, Like me going back to the theater is a big deal because I really stayed away, and I just feel safe enough to go now. And you don't always
yeah.
have to eat things. You can just have a mask on if people rather do that. It wasn't luckily too busy in the lobby and seemed pretty good. Like we were pretty much separated from other people.
I went Friday afternoon for like a matinee, so I mean, it wasn't packed or anything
Oh,
like that.
cool.
But
That's nice.
yeah, I'm sure like if you went like Friday night, during prime time, it was probably I think that's when you went, wasn't it?
Yeah, I
Like you
went
went
at 10
pretty late at
o'clock.
night.
I went to the last
Okay.
showing, and yeah, it was pretty. I don't know if it was packed, but it was a good turnout. A good turnout.
Yeah.
So, which is great, because it did make. I think it did make 80 million this weekend. That's great. We need the
Yeah.
box office to come back because I think a lot of films have not been fairly hits. I guess you could say. Like we're still
hmm
in the pandemic, so they're not all going to make this. I don't think we should focus on like, oh, it didn't make that much. It's a failure. It's like no. Like look at
If
it's a
you
totally different market right now.
if you spend the money to go to a theater and you enjoy the movie, it's not a failure.
Right. Yep.
I mean, don't it doesn't matter what the tomato meter says. It doesn't matter what the
Yeah.
critics
Screw
say. It
that.
doesn't matter what the box office numbers say. If you enjoyed the movie and you went to the theater and had a good experience,
Yes.
then that's all that matters.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. With that said, we're gonna get into spoilers now. So go see the film and rejoin us if you will. And if you've already seen it, well, we'll get into it. First off, this isn't a big spoiler, I guess, but I've talked to you about this. I really love that cover of Nirvana in the
Oh
title
yes,
song. I think
the
Malia J sings it. I think
yeah,
hauntingly
um,
good, hauntingly good.
the cover of Smells Like Teen Spirit, and
Yes.
it's so different because that the original version by Nirvana is so like fast paced and
Mm-hmm.
hard hitting, and this one's very slow. It's very haunting. It's very melodical, like
Mm-hmm.
like it's very very much more like instrumental and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like I would compare it to the cover of Mad World they did for Donnie Darko
Nice.
because that original like Tears for Fears song was very like upbeat and everything like that, and then you hear the like the slow piano and everything like that, and it's like a totally different tone shift, and it works really well with this film what they did with Smells Like Teen Spirit because
Yeah, it's beautiful.
it's in a scene where like they're basically loading all these kids into shipping containers and sending them off to the red room, and you're getting like this feel of all these kids being separated from their quote parents. I mean, most of these people are supposed to be like orphans or something like that, but
Yep.
then you get kind of like the family setting at the beginning of the movie, and you think like, oh, these are, they're. I mean, you kind of know already if you've watched Endgame that Natasha never knew her father,
Mm-hmm.
so it's like obviously this is an adopted family or something like that, and then like they get into it and it's this they go to Cuba. They get flown off in the middle of the night to Cuba. They're being pursued by shield agents. Um, then it's kind of like it breaks this whole family dynamic apart, and all of a sudden, like these kids are separated from who they thought were their parents, and it's kind of a emotional roller coaster in the first 30 minutes of the film.
It's as dark
Um,
as it gets, I think.
yeah.
It's very effective. And it goes places where the rest of the movie, I think, is afraid to go to, in my opinion. Just
Hmm.
because of the one example. I mean, we know from, I mean, shit, that Age of Ultron flashback was pretty dark itself. And without them saying things, we knew how bad it was, So I think they could have done more of that. I like that they did that
Yeah.
in the beginning with the song. That was very effective. But
Hmm.
yeah, there's that scene where they're in the helicopter. They rescue David Harbour's character from
Hmm.
prison, and they're making this joke about getting their hysterectomies.
Yeah.
I just felt that
And
was kind of yeah,
he's just like visibly disturbed. He's like, oh, okay, TMI.
yeah. It's like
Um,
they're talking about bowel movements like that. I get, but this was like,
yeah.
I mean, I know I'm not saying like I want this to be dramatic as hell, but it's like I almost rather them not even bring it up if they don't want to really tackle how terrible that is.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, they even kind of show that in the flashbacks, if you
You're
will,
right.
during the song. They like show these um, little girls being like strapped down to um, medical tables and like all
Hmm.
these procedures being done on them and stuff like that. And it's kind of like,
It's
oh
dark.
man,
Yeah.
you get a sense for like really how dark it is. I think, and that works a lot too for the to setting the tone of the film and getting you kind of more invested in what these characters are going to go through.
Right. Like when they land in
So
Cuba, David Harbour's character and Rachel Weisz's character, they just kind of become more workers for the cause rather than parents. It's like, okay, that was done. Kind of like we just finished filming our TV show cut, and they kind of one goes off to get
yeah.
fixed, and David Harbour is talking to Ray Winstone's character Dracoff, who basically runs the show,
Mhm.
and he's just kind of in it for himself, but he does change his demeanor when he talks to the kids, because as he's talking to Dracoff, his Russian accent comes in, which when we first get to see these characters, I'm like, whoa, where's the Russian accents? Like, what the hell? Like, they're damn good at English accents here. So that
Yeah.
made sense. Like, they were just like sleeper agents, sleeper cells. And I guess the kids always knew, right? But I think they got tricked, kind of like they started believing this was real, this family, and aspects of it were
Yeah.
obviously when you live with somebody for 3 years, you will get close in some ways, even though I think you could, as a kid especially, you clearly forget what's true. I guess like you fall in love
Hmm.
with this
You
this
you
fiction.
fall in love with
Hmm.
the idea more than the
Yeah.
fact of the matter or whatever. But I
Right.
mean, you kind of do get that sense when they're going over um, the photo album, and
Yep.
they have like they say like, oh, we did family pictures of our summer vacation and our Christmas and everything all in one day. But they even say like, oh, I knew that the Christmas presents were just boxes wrapped in paper, but
Yep.
it was still fun to tear them open.
Right. Right.
Like you get the sense that like they were just completely robbed of their childhood, which neither Yelena nor Natasha
Hmm.
had parents before this.
Hmm.
You know,
Or
it's
they were
like
told
they're just kind of
lies. Yeah.
they're kind of like given this family, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, it's time for you to go to the red room and get your insides scooped out. Like,
Right.
oof,
Right. Well, turning into mindless killing machines, pretty much. Well,
yeah,
that generation weren't too mindless. They, we come to know like I guess the new regime of Black Widows are mind controlled entirely versus
yeah.
having their own mind. I guess maybe Natasha's set the stage for that to happen when she defected. I wonder if that's why they
Well,
decided to go that route.
when she defected Like I think when she defected and everything like that and went to Shield and was, say sort of spared by Clint Barton and everything like that, and
Hmm.
she kind of did that like on her own free will, and then they realized like, oh, okay, if we take their free will away, then we'll make them more effective killers.
Right.
And that's kind of like where the whole serum thing came into play or whatever. Like with Rachel Weisz's character Merlina, she was, we see her on the farm. She's like basically mind controlling these pigs to do everything that they, you know, to like go around, navigate this maze, and like I don't know, it's kind of disturbing when she like pulled up her little pad and she's like, okay, now stop breathing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, save the pig. What the hell are you doing?
Yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah. That I mean
But,
that was dark. You know, Marvel relies on a lot of humor, and yeah, I'll give them that. Like that was something they could have definitely been scared to go with. You know, it's a defenseless animal that stops breathing.
yeah.
Yeah, there's parts where they went there, you know, and I just kind of wish there was consistency. I just felt like some of it jokes, you know, just ruined the whole like, you know, take this in how bad. I think it took
Mhm.
away how bad this organization was because every time they brought it up, it was a joke. Like the hysterectomies, for instance, was just kind of like, ha, 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 we're laughing about it, we're joking about it, and all this shit. Like it's really fucking dark. If
Yeah.
is it Alexei? Is that David Harbour's character, the father?
Yeah.
He's the
Red Guardian.
Red Guardian, yes. But it's fucking dark if he knew this was going to happen to those kids. Because he told them, like, you're fighters. But, like, did he know what the Widow program was? Or was he just
I,
assuming it was
I
just,
don't
they
think
just trained him to kill?
he was like, okay, we're just training them to be killers. Okay.
Hmm.
Like, who can fly under the radar more than a child,
Hmm.
especially a little girl,
Right.
I don't think like he really knew. I think Rachel Weisz's character knew everything because she was kind of like the one helping him develop everything. But I don't think that Alexei knew specifically what was going to happen to everybody.
Hmm.
It was more of like a ignorance is bliss kind of thing. Like I know you're going to do some terrible things to these kids, but oh well,
Yeah.
haha.
I'll just sugarcoat it
You
in my
know,
own head. Like, it'll,
yeah. Like he was kind of seemed delusional to me. Which I mean, you kind of get that impression when he's in the prison and he's like sitting there talking like
hmm.
about, oh, I fought Captain America in the 80s. And then the guy's like, well, he was in the ice during that time. What are you talking
Yes. And that made me wonder, like, is it possible if Steve always existed in throughout the timeline and Frozen, did
about?
he battle an older Steve Rogers? Did he really battle him, or is he making this shit up? He could be, you know, when he was. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't read too much into that. I think he was just making shit up to,
Most
because I
likely.
mean, you kind of get the sense that like when the whole reason he's in prison is because Dreykov kind of, you know, lost his use for him.
Hmm.
Like I think the whole history of the Red Guardian was he was made to be, Russia's super soldier. I'm talking like the USSR Russia.
Yes.
Like he was meant to like win them the Cold War single handedly, and when he didn't do that, he was like, okay, well, you'll rot in a prison for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. I think he was very much like the communist superhero
I wonder
kind of
if it.
thing. But
You know what would have been better, but I know that just makes him. That just makes it doesn't make him as a gray character, if you will. Like if he found out what the Widow program was and tried to stop it, and that's how he got put in prison. That's dark,
yeah,
but it kind of, I don't know. To me, I think that would have been a better idea of how he got into prison. Like he just knew too much. Of course, they would have just probably killed him and not put him in prison. So I don't know.
yeah,
I mean, I just wish he, yeah, I wish he was totally oblivious to what happened because, you know, when they pick up again, it's like they're not really tackling. The only issue they're really tackling is that whole family dynamic of not being real. Nothing else.
yeah,
Like I wish they would have been like, you knew what was going to happen to us and you let them take us, you know, after all that time
hmm
together. Like that shit I think would have been great to have in there. But I know it gets into a dark area. I get it. It's an MCU film. Not saying I want to go in and just be bummed out, you know. But I think there was creative ways to do it without being bummed out. Like not necessarily saying the things, but relating to them, or you know, kind of like Ultron did. You know, we didn't really get
Yeah.
into how dark, but we gotta. It was just enough, you know. I think it was just enough to balance. You know, your own mind could create what they went through versus actually
Yeah.
seeing it or talking about it. That's the only problem I have with a lot of these MCU films. It just feels like they're afraid to go places, right?
I think they are a little bit afraid to go into like those darker territories because they know that um, ultimately kids are going to go see these because
Yes.
they've established the Avengers and everything like that as characters, and I think you really with a superhero movie you want to tailor it to the whole family a little bit.
Yeah,
And I
I
mean
get that.
this was rated PG-13. I think if they went a little further with it, then it probably would have gotten a hard R rating,
Right,
like
right.
very very easily.
It's not a DC
But
property because DC probably would go there, but I guess
yeah,
that's I mean that's the thing. I think a lot of people need to give DC is I think they'll go there more. You know, Marvel will have a time where they'll I think they will be more serious, perhaps, with their
yeah,
characters. That might be a way to do it. Like really get into like Tony's alcoholism. I'm not saying you have to make him big depressing films, but
yeah.
I mean I get it. It's a formula. It's successful. I totally get it, and I do enjoy the
They're
films.
they're willing to, yeah. I mean, and they're willing to touch on that and like give you just enough so that you can use your imagination to fill in the blanks.
Mhm.
But like, yeah, they're not really gonna full on go there. But what did you think of Taskmaster in this?
Well, I don't know much about the character. I did like the look of the character. I thought it was very interesting. It can mimic other people it fights. I didn't see the twist coming, honestly. Which was it was Dracov's daughter, who Black Widow thought she killed. I guess in a way she did kill her, and he put her back, kind of
Yeah,
like Humpty Dumpty. I would, you know, the biggest shock I had was the actress they used because she didn't really have speaking parts, and it's an actress I've seen in many things. I'm gonna butcher her name. It's like Olga Kurlinkov or Kova.
Yeah, Kurlienko.
Yeah,
I think
good
that's it.
job. That's why you're here.
Uh,
Like fix these names I'm saying. But she was a
um,
Bond girl. But she's been in other
yeah,
things. Like she's really a good actress, and I do appreciate seeing her. I think that was it made me really like pay more attention to the character when that
yeah.
was revealed. I did like Taskmaster.
I
I think for a fan of Taskmaster though, like I'm not. I It's not like I just don't know enough about him, you know, or her, let's say.
So here's my thing with it. Is
Yeah.
I am a huge fan of
Oh shit.
Taskmaster. He's one of my favorite villains because
Yeah.
he's not he's not like a haha I'm going to destroy the world type of villain, but he's very methodical and he's
Hmm.
very vocal. So making him a mindless robot
Oh
was kind of
fuck, really?
dumb for me.
Yeah.
But
I get
so
it.
the whole thing with Taskmaster is that he does like he naturally has a photographic memory, so he can watch a video of
Yes.
Captain America fighting, you know, AIM or Hydra, and all of a sudden know how to use his shield.
Hmm.
You know, so like making Taskmaster kind of like a mind controlled robot was
Hmm.
weird.
Yeah.
I was excited by all the scenes with Taskmaster in it. Don't get me
Yes.
wrong,
So was I.
and I love the fact that like they kind of went a different way and making him like this, kind of like they did with Winter Soldier, like made him this mute
Hmm.
badass
Yeah.
kind of thing, and then all of a sudden when you get the reveal, it's kind of like, oh,
Yeah,
okay,
it's weak sauce when you think about it that way. Also, the one thing that's very weak, in my opinion, you could say that they gave her a robotic body, but she clearly looks like a dude when the mask is on, and it probably is doing the fights and
well,
shit.
and I think that it's they kind of did that purposely. Like
Yeah, and I get it. Yeah.
I don't try to think that like every movie is trying to be super woke,
Yeah.
but it's kind of like making her Antonia, like giving the reveal at the end that she's Antonia was, I think it was good,
Hmm.
but what I really wanted this film to do was be like okay, Taskmaster was working for the Red Room, and then the Red Room gets shut down, and Taskmaster just kind of goes off and does his own thing. And
Yeah,
I say he because like I'm going off of the comics,
of
but
course. Yeah,
like
it's another
like
Mandarin situation, kind of.
like yeah, but like in the comics, like they've even used Taskmaster to train like a new group of Avengers because he's that good.
Damn.
Like he can take on the core group of Avengers single handedly.
Hmm.
I think like putting the idea of Taskmaster out there was good. Maybe we'll like even see somebody like working for the Power Broker or something like that become
Yeah,
Taskmaster.
there you go. The way they could retcon it or fix it is it's a prototype concept, and then they'll actually get the real Taskmaster, if you will. Just because
Uh,
I'm not saying that because I'm not saying it because she's a woman and all that stuff. I don't give a shit about that. But you pretty much
no, I don't
destroy
either.
that character. Like it, she's no longer a villain anymore. So you're not going to get those
Yeah,
unless she trains. Like you said, they could incorporate her training Avengers. But is she anything without that helmet that can mimic and shit? I mean, I guess she could do the moves without the helmet, but that helmet clearly has the tech, right? That helps her mimic or chip in her head, whatever.
yeah. I think it was more like with the whole like brainwashing and everything like that. Like I don't know. I think the helmet kind of helped because it kind of looked like when they first introduced Taskmaster and she's sitting in the chair like watching a video of Black Panther fighting in Leipzig, right, from Civil War.
Right. Yes. Yep.
And then they just like kind of unplug him and like, okay, time to go to work. It's kind of like you're getting into like Winter Soldier type territory there. I think maybe it's just like more of a hypnotic suggestion. Like I don't know if like the tech like actually like just kind of matrixes that
Yeah.
knowledge into your brain or
It's
what.
very
But
vague, right? It's just kind of.
I don't know. But I mean, she survives at the end, so you never know. She could come back as somebody. I don't know. At the end, when everybody like kind of escapes except for Natasha, it's like, okay, but where did these people go? And we didn't really get an answer except for Yelena. Like we get a answer for her in the end credits, but
Yeah, like
um,
what'd she say? Like they're gonna go back to her farm or some shit, or what? What was where was the destination? Did we know? They're just going to
I don't think they know. I think they're just like
just fly us
trying
wherever.
to. Well, she gives her okay. So Natasha goes into Dreykov's office or
Hmm.
whatever and downloads this
Yes,
data for all the sleeper Black Widows across the world,
there you go. That's
and
right. Yep.
hands her. She hands Yelena the data along with the serum that kind of breaks them of their mind control, and is like, okay, you can make more of this. Go find everybody and release them from control so they can have their own lives.
That's right. Yep. Yep.
And so it's kind of like, okay, that's whatever. But when they show this map of like all these people, it's like Cerebro almost in X
Yeah,
Men.
kind of is right.
When he like looks up like all the mutants and humans that are across the world, it's like, really, you're going to go from you know ocean to ocean, just freeing these like millions of people? Okay,
Well,
but
you could fly it over states and stuff, I guess, and drop it off if they had to do
yeah,
it that way. That's one way, but yeah, that's gonna be a lot of missions right there, just tracking them down and.
I could I could almost see them using. This is reaching, but I could almost see them like making a Disney Plus series about that,
Maybe.
like how they went and freed everybody. But so before we talk about the end credits scene and everything like that,
Yeah.
I want to reiterate one thing on here. Like this was supposed to come out a long time ago,
Yes.
so this was supposed to be released before Falcon and the Winter Soldier came out,
Mm-hmm.
and they had to adjust fire with everything with the pandemic and everything like that. So we get to see Julia Louise Dreyfus's character in the post credits scene. Her Contessa, whatever kind of long fucking name, I can't
Just kind of
remember.
like a bad version of Nick Fury, right? I mean, it's kind of like
Yeah,
anti-hero group she's forming, sort of.
yeah. So she's the same one that recruited U.S. agent
Yes.
in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So it looks like she's kind of putting together her own Dark Avengers, maybe, or her
Yeah.
own like separate group of Avengers. But she hands she hands Yelena a iPad kind of thing that shows
Hmm.
Clint Barton's face on it and says,
Yeah.
"This is the person responsible for killing Natasha."
Right.
I'm like, "Oh, what?" So I think this kind of like sets up the Hawkeye series that we're going to get, where he's training Kate Bishop and everything, and maybe he has to kind of like go underground or something. But hopefully they expand on that a little bit. I do love the character that she plays, though, that Julia Louis-Dreyfus
Yeah.
plays, because she's just kind of like an unapologetic asshole.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
For sure.
like there's this big somber scene where Yelena goes up to Natasha's grave and she's standing there, and it's this secluded area, and she's like on the verge of tears, and then all of a sudden it's like she's like blowing her nose, and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm allergic to the Midwest."
Because because
So
Florence Pugh whistled, and that was their thing with each other. And I was like, oh my God,
yeah,
is Natasha going to just walk out of the woods and whistle? Like, oh my God, she's back. But no, we don't get that.
yeah. I really hope they end up using. I really hope they end up using Florence Pugh more in the MCU. She was the. I think I focused more on her than I did on Scarlett Johansson throughout this movie. I think that was maybe the point,
Yeah, I do too.
was to introduce her character,
Yeah.
because she was an absolute badass, and I mean, like,
Yep.
she had a great sense of humor. She'd fit in great with the core group of Avengers that are left after Endgame.
Yeah, she's
Um,
great.
like bringing her in as the new Black Widow, and then bringing in John Walker as the new. Well, I mean, U.S. agent kind of does his own thing, but
Yeah, I like that.
I
I
don't
like
know.
that.
I
It's kind of
think,
like the B team in a
yeah,
way.
it's. I can kind of see them being like the Thunderbolts or something like that, like
I think
working
that
under
could be where they're going.
Ross, and yeah.
Well, yeah.
Um,
I wanted to bring that up really quick because I know we're in the credits, but did you find William Hurt's appearance weird in the film?
I did, but I kind of thought of it this way: like they kind of threw this at you when he was first coming after Natasha,
Yep.
but she's like, "You don't look so good. What is this? Your second triple bypass?"
Yeah.
So it looks like maybe the events of Civil War have caused him to kind of relapse in his health,
Maybe.
but we see him like healthy in Infinity War. So
True.
I don't know if it was maybe just the actor was kind of like, because he's not in the movie a whole lot.
No, he's
He
not. But
does
every
get,
time it looks like they de-aged him or something. Like, what the hell, guys? Like, really?
yeah. I mean,
Unless they made him try to
if
make
you
him
look at
skinny
his,
or thinner.
yeah, I mean, if you look at his like headshots on IMDb and stuff like that, he looks very, I don't want to say doughy, but
Yeah.
he looks very not like
Yeah.
Thaddeus Ross.
Right.
So,
He's got the wig and stuff.
so yeah, I think maybe they like kind of did a makeup fail with him a little bit, because he did look a little off.
I thought so too. Yeah,
Um,
that's the only thing. I was like, I know he wasn't in there much, but
the thing I didn't really understand was like at the ending. I'm talking like before the
yep,
credits and
I'm
everything.
with you.
Is like, Shield's all coming to Natasha. They destroyed the base. She sent out like a distress signal to them or whatever to let them know their location. They show up. Everyone else takes off but Natasha, and then we like say 2 weeks later, she's got
Yeah,
her blonde hair. She's got a Quinjet, and she's ready to go off and
yeah.
go off into Infinity War world. It's like, did she just escape?
Well,
Like, did they just let her go? Like, what the hell?
I think that
You know?
we were gonna get the Iron Man cameo, which we talked about before. I didn't
Yeah.
realize until after the film, like, oh yeah, that never happened. I think Iron Man helped her get free of Ross, and supposedly Robert Downey Jr. did film a scene, but the director decided against it. She wanted Black Widow to basically do her own thing, and so it's up to us, I guess, to fill in that blank. Like, how the hell did she
Well,
get out of that situation?
well, maybe when we get the Blu-ray release or whatever, maybe there'll be like a deleted scene or something that kind of puts that together. I mean, they like to do. Marvel loves their deleted scenes, and
Hmm.
what I was kind of expecting was like Cap to come out and be like, "Natasha, come with me," and then there's a Quinjet waiting behind the trees or something.
Right.
Not just like this arms dealer that gets her all this stuff that we've never been introduced to before. All of a sudden has a Quinjet, and she's like, okay, and she takes off on her own. Like, we know that Captain Rogers goes to, and by this time he's like got the beard grown out and everything like that. We know he goes to the raft and breaks everybody out except for Ant-Man and Hawkeye.
Right.
We know he goes and breaks everybody out so that they can help him in the, Infinity War when that part comes up. But it's like it's never really. There's a lot that's not explained, and I'm like, oh, like I thought this was supposed to tie a bunch of stuff together and give us a bunch of answers, but it gave us more questions than it did anything.
What they should have done, I get it. They wanted her to do her own thing. They don't want her to be rescued by. The director actually said she didn't want help from the boys, But I think what they should have showed us was Ross captured her. She meets up with Tony. He's got that cell phone that goes right to Cap. And she's probably trying to get her family back together, her other family. And Tony gives her the number and lets her get out of there. And then she contacts Cap. Maybe she steals a Quinjet on her way out. She contacts Cap. And then that's how I think that would connect it better. Because, the dude that kept hooking her up in the film, it's like, where's he getting his shit from? And he didn't really do anything. Like, he just seemed like a wasted character. Like, he shows up, he's charming. Here's what you need. I'm out. I'm like, okay, I get that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or when maybe she left with them in the helicopter and they had this whole conversation once they settled somewhere or while they're in flight. And she's like, okay, I know what I need to do. And then show her 2 weeks later, maybe. It felt like we were robbed of that encounter. And if they didn't want to go there, which I get because we just saw this giant action scene, then I would just have her go with her damn parents or other family and then quickly talk about going with, I gotta write this now, and then whatever. I thought that was not handled properly.
Maybe we'll get that explanation in like another series or another movie or something. Or
it's not necessarily terrible. Like we can make up our own minds. I think what I just said might be even better what they give us. Who knows?
I don't know. There was, I would say my expectations were met with the movie.
Yeah, I had a good time.
There was stuff I wish could have been done differently or added or something like that. But I don't know. I think it's a good movie. It's a good return to the MCU. It's a good showing of what we can expect going forward into Phase 4.
Yeah,
from a big screen perspective, not just from a small screen perspective. Like, I think we're already like in agreement that the Disney Plus series have been great.
Yeah, I think they've really helped a lot
in establishing like a continuation of the narrative going forward. But I'm really hoping that at some point we get like more of an explanation for some of the kind of loose threads that have been hanging there. But
I hope so.
Overall, I stick by my original statement of 4 out of 5 stars. Really good movie.
Yeah, and I put it there too. I'm more excited about the Hawkeye series now, knowing that possibly we'll get Florence Pugh in there. Hopefully. Hope they use her. That would be wise. It makes sense.
And his series is supposed to cover some of the time that he spent as Ronin.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
From like when his family disappeared to when he meets up with Natasha in Endgame.
Right.
And I can see him being like, okay, I want to retire and spend time with my family. I just got him back after 5 years, so let me train a replacement kind of thing.
Right.
My wheels are going to turn in with the Hawkeye series. I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see Jeremy Renner back as Hawkeye because I know he's a very underrated character.
He is. He never really got a cool costume. I think that hurt him because it's funny. He just kind of got like a generic Shield outfit like Natasha did, and I'm like, okay. Well, they never went purple either. Like they got close. There was like tones of purple, But I was like, just go for it, man. It's a fucking comic book movie. Just do it.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't need to go full on with like the little wings on his head and all that shit.
No. But I think a helmet would have been cool because he is human, and shit, he's going to be falling and stuff. Like, you should wear a damn helmet. Captain America does, and Iron Man clearly does. Thor doesn't need one. Black Widow, I guess, moves so quickly she doesn't. But no, I think they robbed him of that. I think that would have been really cool for him to have some kind of maybe a tech on his helmet that he could target even better. I know they
Yeah.
played around with him having sunglasses in the first Avengers, like the promos they had. I think he wore glasses, but not the movie at all.
Yeah. Well, they went more with his appearance in the MCU. They went more with the Ultimates
Right.
uh, Hawkeye. So he's basically just like a purple vest and sunglasses, and like his head's exposed
I think that's just it, man. I think
and
it's just the
everything. I don't know,
outfit was not
but
flattery
yeah,
enough.
I mean, I like the Ronin outfit. I'm glad they kind of like used that more
Yeah,
in
and he
Endgame
went.
than anything. But
Yeah, and he went for it with the haircut. Totally, like he really was committed to
yeah,
that for sure. Yeah, David Harbour's Red Guardian. I love that there's another super soldier, and I going back to him talking about fighting Captain America. I could easily see just him being constantly compared to him during his training, and obviously that's what they wanted. They wanted their own Captain America, so to live up to that.
hmm
Obviously, even though he's on a round, that's a rivalry type figure. It could be for him. So, especially if he got thrown in jail, right? He's like, I was good, and I'm going to talk about battling him, even though
yeah,
I didn't. But I mean, yeah, he breaks that dude's wrist. I'm like, that's a little dark. That's cool. But I
yeah,
enjoyed him. I love David Harbour, and I'm bummed that his Hellboy wasn't successful. Obviously, it was a mess, kind of. But I'm so happy that he's in the MCU now, and I really hope they utilize him. I think they could easily put him up with the new Captain America, and
hmm
Bucky, Winter Soldier. I love the
yeah.
costume. It's very similar to Cap's. And I thought he had his own shield. The toy teased that, didn't it? Didn't the toy have a shield on it or something? Or
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he did, but then like he ends up taking Taskmaster's
yeah,
shield at the end, but and then like losing it 5 seconds later. But
yeah, and it's smaller too. So I did admire like they weren't trying to exactly copy Cap's shield. But yeah, I
yeah,
was waiting for Red Guardian's shield. But I am so happy to say that he didn't die. I thought for sure he was going to kind of sacrifice himself because he's a little out of shape. He's older, but he's taking on
yeah,
Taskmaster. He's getting his ass kicked, and I was just like, oh shit, I think he's gonna die. But no one died, so
yeah.
thankfully. I mean, obviously Natasha does later on.
That was the only thing with this movie is there wasn't like a sense of tension with
Yeah,
you know
hmm
because I mean that like
the stakes. Yeah,
um, Yelena's gonna take over as Black Widow. You know that they were setting that up the whole movie,
yes,
and Natasha obviously isn't gonna die. So like the rest of them was kind of like, well, if we never see him again, it
yeah.
sucks. But
It's kind
nobody
of a
lost kind of
shoehorned in
thing.
film, just because a lot of people wanted a Black Widow film and they just didn't line it up in time.
They've been wanting a Black Widow film since forever ago.
Yeah,
Um, I think even David Hayter, who is the voice of was the voice of Solid Snake in
nice.
Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
He had a treatment for one back in like 2000 or something like that that never got off the ground. But I think it was more along the lines of like the David Hasselhoff Nick Fury movie. It was like
Oh yeah, yeah.
it wasn't like a this is way before the MCU
Oh
was
yeah,
even
yeah.
a
This is
thing.
like television territory, kind of, wasn't it? Or
Yeah. I don't know. I think it introduced us to some good characters. I did like Red Guardian's like fighting style. He was more of like it was more aggressive and sloppy. It wasn't as polished as
right.
like Captain America's. He was more of like a like trying to be big and intimidating, and then he just got his ass kicked by a girl, which is kind of funny.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think they did really good with this movie. It was good to finally see Natasha's side of things, and I think it will be kind of a positive direction going forward for the MCU.
I really like them to do maybe some period piece films. Like I know they touched upon this one. It was like '95, and then Captain Marvel was in early '90s, I think. I think I know. Yeah, Red Guardian hit. Yeah, it was sloppy. I think some of it was just due to he was out of commission for a while. I'd like to see him in his prime to see how different he would have been, and maybe he was the same. I don't know, but
And he just spent like however many years, 20 something odd years in prison too. So
true. Yeah, and he
he's
was
probably
clearly
used to
out of
just like
shape, trying to get the
beating
outfit
up
on.
thugs and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
he's pulling the.
was kind of funny.
That was funny. I read a meme or something about saying like how we all feel putting on an outfit Or no,
after after being quarantined or something.
it was a cosplayer I follow actually.
And I was like, that still fits.
He's a little heavy, heavier, and he's like, yeah, this is the feeling I get when I put my costumes on. Yeah, I dug that, but I also loved the young David Harbour in the '95 version in the beginning. Like, I would love to see that time period or another time period. Like, I think that's where they should go too if they want to explore while these actors are young. Like, clearly David Harbour could look young as he did, I think. But yeah, I really dug him. Like, you first see his powers when he flips that trailer out of the way for the airplane and him on the wing of the plane shooting, and he had good targeting skills. So I would have loved to have seen him as a Red Guardian then. I think that would have been pretty cool. Yeah, and if they ever want to play around with old Steve Rogers or maybe even Winter Soldier, they go toe to toe. Who knows? That'd be cool. I'd love to see that. But yeah, like you said, it did introduce a lot more characters. It helped build the universe more, which is great. Yeah, I look forward to seeing more. I hope we get to see more of these characters. Yeah. We'll see. But yeah, I liked the film. It was good. I would like to see it again. Might take my daughter to see it. Since, they joke about hysterectomies, it can't be that bad, right? God. No, yeah. I know. I mean, I'm not trying to nitpick. Don't get me wrong. That was one thing I was like,
I did like a lot of the humor in it. Like, Yelena's giving her shit about her like pose and everything. It's like, oh, such a poser.
And she tries it herself. That was funny. She's like, ugh.
Yeah, she's like, oh.
That was cool. Yeah, I think she's going to be an awesome Black Widow. I'm excited to see what she does with the character. And I liked that she has a Russian accent. I think a lot of people wished Scarlett had that accent, but it's cool. They never went there. It's fine. Good outing. I think she's officially done with MCU, I'm guessing. We'll see. Maybe... Well, the What Ifs, obviously, she'll probably be in there, I'm guessing. But
yeah, I'm sure she'll probably voice Black Widow in those, and she'll probably pop back up here and there. They can always, with all the series they're putting together and the movies and stuff like that, they like to go back and forth and like say, oh, hey, here's this person.
Yep, here's our hits. Here's our hits. Yeah. Yeah, I want to see more. It's never been like, that was bad. I don't want to see any more. Like, I want to see more. I liked what I saw. We're going to be spoiled. We got 2 more Marvel films this year. Is Shang-Chi next? And then the Internals, I think, maybe? Or vice versa. Yeah. And we got the Hawkeye series as well. So we're very spoiled and fortunate. And then, of course, we got the Suicide Squad with Warner Brothers. Dare I mention the competition, if you will. Not competition to me, don't get me wrong. I enjoy everything pretty much. I mean, I want to enjoy everything.
I actually saw they actually showed the Red Band trailer when I went to see Black Widow. They showed the Red Band trailer of Suicide Squad, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I might actually give this a chance.
It looks
fun. Especially because James Gunn, he's involved in it. I love James Gunn.
Yes.
But he's like, I want to distance this as far as I can from the previous Suicide Squad. I'm like, hey, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Disney would never let him do a rated R film.
Introduce some new characters, bring back some old ones, okay, we're good.
Absolutely.
I'm okay with that.
It just looks like a damn good time. I think it's going to be fun. I hope it's successful. I mean, it's James Gunn.
It's just going to be just a raw action popcorn film.
Absolutely.
Just go and enjoy it.
I'm excited. Yeah, I can't wait. That's August, I think, next month. So
yeah.
I believe so. But yeah, man, there's a lot of good movies coming our way. And
3 guys coming out soon, too. With Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, yes.
He's like a video game NPC. Looks kind of cool.
Yeah, before I saw that trailer, I was like, oh, great, another Ryan Reynolds movie with him being Ryan Reynolds. But I do like the concept. I think that's pretty cool.
He's very Ryan Reynolds-y in the movie.
Yeah, it's from
what I can see in the trailer. So he's kind of like trying to be Deadpool Ryan Reynolds a little bit. But there's actually going to be like Taika Waititi's in it. I think he did the movie.
Yep.
I think he's the director of the movie.
Do you remember the film those 2 were in together previously? The Green Lantern.
No, I don't.
Yeah, Taika was his friend.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, yep.
That's right.
That's before a lot of people knew who he was. God. Yeah.
I completely forgot he was in that. But no, they're actually some couple of YouTubers I think are actually going to be in the movie as well.
Oh, sweet.
I think Markiplier and Jacksepticeye are going to be in it. I heard something that like Logan Paul was going to be in it too. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
Which I don't care about Logan Paul.
No, I don't either.
That guy. But no, I mean, it got me excited to see the trailer with Black Widow because that's another one that's been delayed forever.
It's so crazy, isn't it? Like, we got Bond coming out, and I went to see Black Widow with my cousin, and I looked over at the No Time to Die standee they had, and I told him, like, isn't that crazy? That movie's been done for a year now, and
yeah,
it's just like all these films we haven't seen them. It's like they're in a vault, and it's just weird. But
exactly.
I'm excited. We got a great few movies ahead of us for this year to wrap it up, and hopefully 2022 will be fantastic. We'll be out of this freaking mess, and I hope to get us all together before that in the studio, if you will, and we'll catch up.